Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the latest NASC webinar, which today is about the NASC Careers Portal and how to recruit with confidence. It's an opportunity for us to discuss the most effective ways to identify new talent and the solution that we've come up with, which we believe is going to be a really powerful and impactful way to empower you as members to meet your future employees. We're going to start by having a brief overview of the webinar objectives. What we'll follow that with is an explanation of really how we've got here, why have we done this, and what we've done to respond to a number of the inquiries about identifying a talent solution, which you have submitted, and that's been incredibly helpful. Then I'll take you on a guided tour of the key features and sections within the website so that I can familiarize you with it. As part and parcel of the engagement process, we've created something called talent packs. I'm sure some of you are familiar with them, but we think it's really important to highlight to you the marketing material that's been developed, which is part and parcel of the talent pack. And also this marketing collateral is going to be disseminated far and wide once the official launch occurs, which we'll be talking about in a second. So having some familiarity with it, again, will be helpful to you. We'll follow that with our first opportunity for questions and answers. And then I'll be talking very briefly about the central call to action for yourselves, which is essentially to share the portal. We'll have another Q&A opportunity, and then we'll have a summary and close of the webinar. So how did we get here? This is fundamentally about the future of scaffolding careers for NASC employers in particular. As every single one of you who's attending knows, we need people. That is not a secret. And we need people in literally every area, every role within our sector. We have a long-standing issue of poor visibility of our sector, even within construction itself. It's almost as if scaffolding is the best kept secret. That's unconscionable. And it's not just unconscionable for the sector and for the country, frankly. But it's also unconscionable because there are a generation of people who have never had the opportunity to capitalize on the amazing benefits and advantages there are of being an employee within the sector, and specifically an employee of a NASC company. This has been hampered and compounded by the fact there's a lack of accurate information and really inspirational material that is designed to compel people to want to enter into our sector. We have an unavoidable issue that every single company in the country is facing, but in particular within our sector, this increased competition for talent. There was a dwindling labor market. It is a fact that we have never had such a finite number of young people. It's a fact that we are not in a position to access the same numbers in terms of talented individuals from abroad for a variety of reasons. And with that shrinking pool of talent, it means that we are up against it if we're going to try and compel and encourage people to enter into our sector. So clearly, we need a new approach. That starts here, and that starts today by talking to you about our new revolutionary talent portal. And the official launch date is Tuesday, the 28th of May. That's, for those of you paying attention, straight after the bank holiday. What we're going to be using this portal to do isn't just to highlight what an amazing sector we have, but it's to empower you to provide information on the latest opportunities that are available within your organizations, as well as give you the opportunity and the resources and tools to go to careers events and captivate and capture the attention of a new audience and hopefully new employees, as well as giving you the mechanisms to identify ways in which you can engage on a more creative basis with educators and other organizations who are quite interested in identifying career opportunities for their customer base. The objective is that we are going to make this the ultimate destination for job seekers and for employers within the scaffolding industry. We are going to make sure that this is the envy of every non-NASC member. And when you're reaping the benefits of the new talent that you managed to recruit, primarily because of your efforts, but through using the portal as a tool and a mechanism to do so, it will be proof of concept, and we can only therefore go even greater guns and create more interested candidates that want to enter into our amazing sector. So I know that a number of you may have seen the website already, and frankly, I'll be somewhat surprised if you haven't, because we've already been getting a lot of really positive feedback, and I thank you for that. I thought it would be useful for me to go through each of the tabs and go through them page by page. What you'll discover in the course of this as well is that it may seem like I'm repeating myself, but a lot of that is going to be quite deliberate, because we want to ensure that certain key elements of this are impossible to miss, both for the visitors who we're trying to attract to the website, to the people who are going to be your future employees, the educators who want to find out a bit more about the industry and would therefore be encouraging you to come and provide first-hand engagement and education to a young audience, to explain what it is that happens in our sector, and most importantly, what you offer specifically as employers. And of course, for yourselves as members, there'll be various opportunities for you to access those key elements that I was talking about, namely the talent pack and the ability to actually upload vacancies. So let's start on the home page. Now, every single one of these pages is going to have what we believe are quite powerful calls to action. Everything is about a call to action. We want every visitor that visits the website to feel a compulsion and a degree of excitement about what they're going to be viewing. The majority of people who are visiting the portal are highly unlikely to have had any meaningful experience or understanding or knowledge of what the scaffolding sector is about. So as you can see on this first page, it really is just giving a very brief kind of call to action, which is about joining the scaffolding industry and giving them an overview, very brief synopsis of the type of things that they could potentially be experiencing if they enter into our sector. Scrolling down slightly, and just on the left-hand side here, you can see that you do have the option to scroll down more immediately, but I want to go through this a little more forensically than I otherwise might, so bear with me, please. You'll notice that your eyes will immediately be drawn to the right-hand side, because that's how we read, and this has all been sort of researched. The first call to action, the real meaningful call to action, is to get into scaffolding. And what do we want? We want people to at least register their interest. And so what you'll find, apart from the fact that there's another call to action just on the left-hand side there, is that a visitor to the website will have the opportunity to register so that you as employers can reach out and, as it says here, keep them updated of vacancies, as well as engaging with them to establish whether they, in point of fact, might be the right fit for your industry, and to have a conversation with them and build that relationship. When the candidate, or the registrant, I should say, clicks on that button, they are immediately taken here to this very simple Ninja form. And what this will do is collate their details onto a separate page, which is, as we speak, being patched up. I did want to show that to you today, but there are a couple of elements on it that, if I'm being frank, I'm not entirely comfortable with. I want it to look a little tidier. So it will probably be ready by this afternoon, but it will absolutely be ready in time for the official launch on Tuesday. So rest assured that as a member, what you'll be able to do, and I'll go through that in a little while, we'll be able to go to the registrants page, and that will give you a list in block format of all the people who are registered. And you'll be able to search for the registrants through a filter, which you can utilize to narrow down your search parameters I would recommend by geographical area, so you can see those who have registered interest within your locality, and then you can ascertain whether they are looking for the type of opportunity that you might have available. So that's what happens for new registrants. You'll also notice that we absolutely want to recruit immediately. So if there is a potential candidate who's looking for an opportunity within our sector, and obviously within an NASC company, they just click on latest job vacancies. That takes you to the list of current vacancies. And you can see here that you can search by 4 particular categories. At the moment, we've got them listed as administrative, engineering, operational, and under operational, that broad umbrella, we're including things like scaffolding laborers, yard operatives, pretty much doing what it says on the tin, and then technical, which is a little bit more focused on things like the estimating roles and the like. Absolutely happy to take advice from all of you as to whether you think these are the right categories, and in point of fact, whether you think that we could have some refinement there. So we're open to suggestions. We want to make sure that these are things that are universally recognized by yourself, so that when you are conducting your searches later on, looking at the list of people that have registered, you have a more fluid way to access that information because you'll be familiar with the categories. Job title is doing exactly what it says on the tin. This is the list of the purely in respect of the current vacancies that are up. So I don't want you to think that that's an exhaustive list. Whoops, sorry, let me go back. An exhaustive list by any means. And I mentioned earlier that you'll be able to search the registrants page when that is completed today by postcode. The same is true for this. At the moment, these are just the vacancies that I have acquired from members who I've actually reached out to. For understandable reasons, it's nowhere near as populated as it will be. I've got a significant number of them to upload later on, but I will be going through the process of uploading vacancies, and it is crucially important that you are the ones who are empowered to do this. The reality is we want to make this website yours rather than ours. And if it doesn't work and it's not fit for purpose, or it seems to be overly complicated for you, then we want to know. But I'll be coming to the process as to how you upload vacancies shortly. So, keeping on the right-hand side of the homepage, a visitor to the website will also perhaps want to seek information. This is certainly something that will be particularly important for careers professionals. As a slight aside, I have a meeting with the head of the National Career Service later this afternoon, as well as the organisation that is responsible for disseminating information and skills and employability information across the country to the year 9s, 10s and 11s. So what they're going to be, I imagine, very excited about is the possibility to have access to information like this, because ultimately they are now armed with useful details they can provide to students who perhaps aren't being met by the standard careers offers that are being made, and of course the limitations that are being provided by some schools because they don't really have too much awareness of vocational training, let alone construction, and therefore even more so scaffolding. So when you click on a rewarding career, what this does, it gives you a bit of information about, well, I should say this is really more about the call to action once again, and giving people encouragement that there is an opportunity for them irrespective of their skill sets. There are 2 particular blocks on here that we've distilled this into. The first is to give visitors an idea about the type of job roles that are available within our sector. And I'm pretty sure that most of you, if you can recall when you first entered the sector, were largely unaware of the diversity, and in that specific to roles, is what I mean when I mention diversity here, that exists within the sector. There are so many jobs that I was completely unaware of, and frankly, there are some that I'm still being introduced to. So we think it's a really useful opportunity to demonstrate to visitors the variety that's on offer. There's a bit of preamble there, giving the visitors an understanding of what perhaps their previous understanding of the industry was limited by, as it were. And you'll see that there are individual tiles. I'll click on the first one as an example, that give details of the job in question. You can see the more granular detail of the salary that is on offer, the type of qualifications that will be required, a typical day, the key skills. Again, welcome people's feedback on this, because what we want to do is make sure that this is as accurate as possible and representative of the industry. Also, I know that this is far from an exhaustive list, and we are going to be adding roles all the time. An immediate one that a couple of members have mentioned to me is project manager. So that's something that is literally in development and will be available by Tuesday. But this website will constantly evolve and get better, and it's going to get better with your input and participation. So when you do get a minute, have a look at all of the different types of roles that we've got here, and tell us the key ones that you think we need to add immediately. We'll get it done. The second tile that I want to show you is the benefits tile. And so again, there's some preamble, also serving as a call to action. And what we've chosen to do here is utilize some of the amazing talking heads videos that a number of you have participated in. Again, I have to thank you for that. We're going to constantly be updating our digital collateral and our digital materials. Some of you will have heard me say this before, but it will become what is actually a mantra of mine. People listen with their eyes now, especially younger audiences. It therefore makes sense for us to try and utilize the language that they are most comfortable with. This is why we've got video. And I won't bother playing any of these videos because we could be here for a while. Feel free to visit them at your leisure. And as I said, we're going to be building up more and more collateral. So this page will grow significantly. And we may, in point of fact, what you'll be seeing is that these videos will be changing, because we want to be responsive to the kind of traffic that's being drawn to each of the pages. But we know from the views that we've been having on the YouTube channel that these are very compelling conversations, frankly, that are being held with any visitor. So we think that this benefits page is absolutely going to be something that is regularly visited, particularly by education professionals. Underneath that, you'll see that we have success stories or case studies, if you like. Again, those of you that I had the pleasure of speaking to at regional meetings, and any of you that I've had the privilege of speaking to before, will know that I am somewhat obsessive about success stories, because there is no substitute for people who are actually doing the job, talking to somebody who is either uninformed and interested in that job, or who really wants to do that job. Let's have it direct from the source, is my philosophy on this. I'm going to quite deliberately click on Alice's success story, not because James and Lee's success stories are anything other than incredibly compelling, and I'm sure you'll agree when you have the opportunity to read them. But the thing that we really like about Alice's is that when it was submitted with a brief synopsis, as you can see at the top here, of who Alice is, and a quote from Alice, and a video of Alice. I know I'm going to belabor this point, and do forgive me in advance, but video is absolutely the preferred communication methodology we want to employ here. So if you can, by all means, submit any case studies that you have, preferably with video. If you don't have video, I am more than happy to take whatever case studies you can present to us, because we can amend them and annotate them. What we'll also be doing very, very shortly is providing a template for case studies, so that you have an idea about the way in which to submit it. I almost feel guilty because some of the case studies that have been sent to are fantastic, and the guilt that I feel is that having to sort of remove or reduce them remove wording, sorry, or reduce them in any way, because they are that compelling. But the reality is we do need to have a consistency of format. So yes, don't let that prevent you from sending in case studies. Some of you I have been haranguing quite fiercely for case studies, so I will make no apologies for that, because I'm going to continue to do it. And when I wrap up at the end, I'll talk about the future plans and intentions in terms of me coming out to support members with your engagement, as well as provide regional drop-ins as well to help us understand the most effective ways to engage. So back to the homepage again, you'll notice that there was one other segment on the blue banner on the right, which is what it's like to work in scaffolding. And so this will take you, he says, to the success stories, which I've already shown you. Final thing on the homepage, I've mentioned calls to action. There is also another compelling video featuring members talking about the different roles, why the scaffolding sector is something that is a sector of choice for them, why it's so exciting. So again, we think this is a really compelling way in which to enthuse visitors who are largely going to be completely unfamiliar with the sector. Now, underneath this, we've got something that is specifically about yourselves as employers. We're going to come to these pages later on, so I won't bother going into them right now. But the two key elements that we believe are going to be of immense use for you as members, apart from the ability, of course, to pick up details of interested registrars, is to attend careers events and to post your job vacancies. But I'm going to take you through that when I go to the specific pages. So first, well, the next page after the home page that I want to introduce you to is careers and benefits. Again, powerful calls to action. And you'll have seen, as I showed you earlier, that there are these two tiles that give detail on the type of roles that are available in the scaffolding industry, as well as the benefits, and of course, the success stories. So as I said, this may seem somewhat iterative. I may seem like I'm repeating myself, but I just want you to be aware of the different avenues that visitors to the website can follow in order to reach that same destination that we want them to arrive at. So going on to career events, this is about you largely. As employers, the reality is that you are competing with, well, to so many different elements. We've got other trades that we're competing with. We have the 14 other sectors of the UK economy to compete with. We have a diminishing or diminished pool of talent which to access. And I really don't say this to deflate anybody or to sort of cast a cloud over this conversation that we're having. It's just the reality of where we are. We have an incredibly compelling offer, I believe, to anybody looking for a brand new career or a career change in point of fact. And one of the ways in which we can go about securing and capturing that talent is through attending careers events, because not only does it give us the opportunity to recruit there directly, but just as, and some of you might say even more importantly, gives us the opportunity to plant seeds in the hearts and minds of a younger audience, and then to nurture those over time so that we can ensure that we're not only getting the brightest and the best, but people who actually want to be in our sector. That is one of the most obvious ways in which we're going to improve and increase our retention. and obviously reduce the attrition rate. The majority of you will be aware that we have focused our careers events around 4 broad areas, which I'll just describe briefly and remind those of you who have either forgotten or who may not be familiar with the 4 channels of recruitment that we've been focusing on over the past few years. First one is education. I will highly likely be changing the 16 to 24-year-old parameter there. We originally put that there purely and simply because we know that in terms of those who are actively able to enter into the world of work, that is the young age demographic that we would focus on. But as that is about education, it is also, as a number of you have all been exchanging with me, and those of you that I've had the privilege to attend some events with, you have school assemblies that you'll be attending. That obviously wouldn't necessarily be specific to 16 to 24-year-olds, so I don't want that to be misdirecting in any way, which is why there'll be a slight adjustment on that one. Job centres may also change as a category because this would also include things like unitary authorities or local authorities, employability development partnerships, charitable organisations that put on careers fairs. There are a number of different entities that provide opportunities for employers to come and engage with an audience. But broadly speaking, we've put job centres because a significant number of the submissions that we're getting from stakeholders to upload their events are coming from job centres. We've also got the military, where we're targeting veterans, or for that matter, people with military experience. Some of them may have had early discharges or releases from the military, but it will be people with a military background. And we all know, the majority of us who have had the privilege of speaking to the men and women in armed forces, what kind of innate disciplines and behaviors that they have, which are so vital to any sector, but are particularly transferable skills for our sector. And then the final one here is rehabilitated offenders, which I know a number of you will be very familiar with the returning citizen scheme. The idea here is that we want to be able to offer opportunities to anybody who's been struggling to access the labour market because of a criminal conviction. I will remind you at this stage that we will not be accepting applications from anybody who's been convicted of arson, anybody who's been convicted of any sex offences, or anybody who has been convicted of offences involving children. We understand there are nuances to each of these situations, but the reality is we have an industry that we want to ensure remains open and transparent. And so therefore we are making sure that we are protecting as much as is humanly possible yourselves as employers, as well as, frankly, any candidates that might come from this pool of talent. There will be additional guidance information that we'll be uploading onto this particular section of the website as well. And as you know, this is an area that I've been developing a degree of familiarity with over the past couple of years. Don't hesitate to get in touch if there's anything at all that you would want to query about, not just the rehabilitated offender recruitment, but for that matter, any of these 4 sectors. Sorry, 4 channels, my apologies. And at the bottom, and this will be slightly revised because we think that perhaps viewing all events should be at the top rather than underneath these 4 separate channels, but there's a view all events option. In fact, let me just click on the view all events option. What this does is take you to the career events page, and it gives a listing of all the upcoming careers events. You'll note again that you have the opportunity to, sorry, that was a little too fast for you, my apologies, but you'll have the opportunity to look at each of the event categories through the search filters. You can establish exactly how far the distance is from you and whether it's therefore within your capability to attend, or you can actually search by postcode. Now, what you're noticing from every single one of these is that you can order a talent pack. You can only order a talent pack, which I'll go into in a little while. For those of you who are not familiar with what I'm talking about when I mention talent pack, if you are attending an event. Now, with that said, it makes sense, therefore, to show you what happens when you click on the button to order a talent pack. Here, as they say, is one I prepared earlier. Once you click on ordering a talent pack, it will take you to this page. Now, there is some preamble here reminding everybody what the contents of the talent pack are. For those of you who are not familiar with it, it consists of a Connects kit. If you're not familiar with Connects kits, I'm showing my age here. The only other thing that I can think that compares to it, being a man of a certain vintage, is Meccano. If you're not familiar with Meccano, then maybe think Lego, but in the form of longer plastic strips. I'm doing a terrible job of explaining what a Connects kit looks like. But the University of Google is your friend in this instance. So if you're not familiar with the Connects kit, please, by all means, do Google it, because the Connects kit gives those more tactile or kinesthetic young people in particular an opportunity to look, see, and touch something, and replicates the construction of a scaffold, freestanding scaffold and a scaffolding bridge, which will also have within it technical drawings and compliance sheets. So it's as, for want of a better phrase, as real life a situation as possible. On every single one of these talent packs, there's going to be a QR code, and that will capture what it's going to do is it's going to drive any visitors who scan that QR code to the website. And of course, that gives us the opportunity to then encourage them through our calls to action to register as candidates. That's something, of course, that you can also articulate when you're speaking to them directly. I believe that most of you who've given feedback about the talent pack are particularly excited about the fact that there are VR headsets in every single one of them, and they have immersive animations. Some of you may have seen the animation, which is essentially a walkthrough of a scaffolding structure that then gives you the opportunity to identify 5 faults on said structure. We'll be uploading a video of this animation onto the website. It will be on our YouTube channel, I believe later on today as well. We'll provide links. So if you're not familiar with it, then you'll have the opportunity to view it. It's also important to sort of highlight to you that because at this stage, these VR headsets, bizarrely Meta have not provided the technology to cast from multiple different headsets from one account, but we have a perfect walk around or perfect solution for that. Every single one of these talent packs will also include an NASC USB-C card, which you can then just plug into a laptop or a smart TV. And that has the walkthrough of the animation that I was talking about, as well as a 360 VR video on the USB-C card. So what that means is that even though you can't cast what a visitor to your stand will be seeing, you'll be able to display it and demonstrate it. And frankly, that more than does the job. And it also guards against those situations where there may be insufficient Wi-Fi for you to cast anyway. Trust me when I say I have experienced that situation more times than I care to mention. Strangely enough, within schools, more than anywhere else. So this means that you're protected against those eventualities. I would not recommend being in a room full of young people who have been made a promise about VR and not being able to create an environment where they can all see it. So trust me when I say that this is a perfect solution to that potential challenge. It's also important, I think, for you to recognize this is an opportunity for you to enhance everything that the talent pack gives you an opportunity to do, which is to engage and to, act as a hook and attract, visitors to your stand. Enhance it with your own branded goods. Provide your own point of sale material. That's the way that you're going to make that lasting impression. And frankly, that's I would imagine, the most important thing for you to be able to talk about your company and what it is that you offer. All the NASC are seeking to do is to help you bring people to the table, or, you know, to your stand, so you can have the conversation with them. It is important at this stage to point out that if you want to order a talent pack, you have to request it 7 working days before the actual event that you're attending. The talent pack is also going to be collected 7 working days from the final date of the event. And I know that that's there in front of you, but it really is important for you to understand this. And then finally, the simple process of ordering the talent pack. Very self-explanatory. You'll note here that we've got collection address as well as the delivery address. I would be very surprised indeed if they are not the same thing. But do bear in mind that if it's going to be collected from a different venue, you have responsibility for the contents of the talent pack, and there is some expensive equipment in there. So I would thoroughly recommend that the collection address is your head office or somewhere that you have control over. We wouldn't want a situation where you're feeling nervous about the fact that you've left it or entrusted it with, say, the event venue, because it might have felt a little more convenient for the talent pack to be collected from the venue when you're there on the day. Okay. So going back to the main website. The other thing that I wanted to show you about careers events is that we want to encourage stakeholders, and by stakeholders, I mean anyone that is interested in providing career opportunity guidance or direction. I mentioned earlier that I'll be meeting with the National Career Service today. They would be a stakeholder. The type of organizations that I mentioned will be putting on careers events, whether that's local authorities, whether that's particular types of charities who are focused on this, whether that's the prison service, whether that's schools or colleges. They are the ones who are, generally speaking, the organizations that are putting on careers events. So what we want them to do is to send us their event details. The only way in which that table that you saw earlier with all the careers events is populated is by stakeholders that I've described telling us what their events are going to be. Now, it's relatively impressive, and I don't want to break my arm patting myself or the team on the back here, but it is relatively impressive that we've got a pretty extensive list of careers events. I do recognize that some of those are out of date. That's only because I insisted that the team didn't upload the new events until I completed the webinar, because I didn't want any last minute glitches. But in encouraging stakeholders to promote their events, it's a very simple process. What we do is we receive that information, we assess it to see that it's valid, and then we upload it. And once it's uploaded, it will go into that table that you saw earlier. I'll just take you back there. It will go into the events table. So there's going to be an immense amount of work occurring over the next few days in particular to encourage stakeholders to visit, not just to visit the website, but also to ensure that they're sending us their event details. So here is a particularly crucial page for yourselves as members, but also for visitors. Frankly, this, I suppose, is the primary goal. We want to get new talent into our sector. And to get new talent into our sector, we have to offer job opportunities, and people have to apply for such job opportunities. So you'll recall what I said earlier about vacancies. There will be a veritable plethora of vacancies on here later. And as you can see, there's the opportunity again to register as a candidate, and I will not bore you to tears by going through that process again. But what's important for you, and I deliberately didn't do this on the homepage, as you'll recall, is to post a vacancy. Now, because I have the back office functionality, what this is going to do is take me to a page that will be somewhat confusing because it will show the WordPress page. Rest assured that what this does is it takes you to a page similar to, whoops, my apologies, similar to this Ninja 4. The fundamental difference being that it will just ask you what the vacancy is. It will ask you all the standard stuff that you would use to populate the job advertisements that you are currently putting out, whether that's through Indeed, whether it's through monster.com, whatever channel you're using. And of course, it will ask you to upload your logo. In doing that, what will happen is that you'll have your vacancy displayed like this. Really, really straightforward stuff. And I'm happy to say about that there apparently have been 2 visitors who have already reached out to one of these companies, who will remain nameless because I promised them that they would, seeking information about the vacancies. And I'm so encouraged by that because we haven't even put this out to the general public as yet. So you can understand why that is so encouraging. So the final tab here is for help and support. And really, this is about having some sort of FAQ page, far from an exhaustive list. This is something that I know will be expanded on. I feel that I'm sort of teaching you how to suck eggs by clicking on these things, but as you can see, once you click on the plus sign on every single one of these sections, it gives you some detail and an answer to the question that's been raised. Not an exhaustive list. Please let us know things that you believe should perhaps be included in there as defaults. This website is going to be in a state of evolution, as it were. Now, within the talent pack, there is something that I didn't mention to you. Apart from these let me just go back to talent pack again. So you'll note here that I've talked about the fact there are powerful calls to action, but I focus most of my attention on the Connect Skit, the VR headset, and of course the QR code. The powerful calls to action are in the form of some marketing collateral that's been created. So what I'd like to do now is just show you some examples of that digital, well, sorry, not digital, but the marketing collateral. It is in digital format as well. So if we could look at that, I will just stop sharing my screen here. Get the marketing collateral up. Fantastic, thank you, Marie. So these are some examples of the leaflets that you'll be able to see. I really don't want to, insult anyone's intelligence by reading what's on here verbatim, because I know that you are more than capable of doing that. But I do think that these are particularly compelling in terms of capturing the attention immediately. And they are just 2 examples of about 6 leaflets that will be contained within the talent packs. It's also important to note that once again, we have the QR code, which is going to be driving the traffic to the website. And we would like to think that these are going to be a particularly useful sort of weapon in your armory. You'll be increasingly familiar with these because you're going to see when we start our very, very aggressive marketing campaign, our digital marketing campaign as of next Tuesday, this is the type of imagery and the messaging that you'll see very consistently. Please feel free when you get the opportunity to engage with your audiences to share that freely, especially the digital versions. If we could go to the next slide, please. And you'll see here two of the pull-up banners that, the pull-up banners that will be contained within the talent pack, which you can see slightly off to the left there, but we are getting those branded as we speak, and they will also feature the same QR code. Ignore that rather questionable individual at the side of the banners. The key thing is to notice the compelling calls to action on those banners. I'm actually very, very proud of the ladies in the marketing team for what they created here. I won't even tell you how quickly they did it in the end, because it's phenomenal work. Again, though, what's really crucial and important is your feedback and your input. So please do make sure that you give us some insight as to your feelings about what you can see there. Okay, next slide, please, Marie. So this is the opportunity for questions. You'll recall that I said there is a Q&A box that you can use to submit questions. I've been asked where you send feedback when you're using the website. At the very end of the conversation today, I'm going to be reminding people what my personal contact details are, as well as the Scaffolding Careers email address as well. This webinar is being recorded, so of course that will be uploaded and there'll be another source of information for you. But in response to Chloe's question, the two key points of contact will be my personal email address, as well as the scaffolding careers at nasc.org.uk. But I will be providing that information at the very, very end. But thank you for the question. That's a really good point. I'm blathering on and on about giving feedback, but I haven't given you any sort of clarity as to where you provide said feedback. Thank you. So the final thing that I really want to highlight is the call to action. This is a starting point for us. We're very excited about it. There's been some really, really positive feedback from members, but it really literally is just the beginning. Like all websites, anything within the digital ecosystem, this is going to be a process of evolution. We're only going to get better at this, and as we start getting more and more visitors, and we're responsive to how they're interacting with the website, then there are going to be adjustments made. But frankly, the most important adjustments are going to be made on the basis of the feedback and the input that you provide to us. I mentioned earlier that I will be coming out to various regions and having regional drop-ins. We're also going to have some here at head office as well, which again, not to insult anybody's intelligence or to teach you things that I know that you are very, very adept at doing yourselves, but to give you some support and guidance, give you hopefully the benefit of my experience of many years of this sort of engagement with various audiences, some little tricks of the trade, tools and tips and techniques as to how to engage when you're at careers fairs. The best way perhaps to utilize the VR equipment, the reminder that if you are going to go out and do a careers event and you intend to use the VR, then it is very important that more than one person attends, because I assure you that can become literally a full-time job in and of itself, managing the VR headset. So there are a number of little things that we can be doing, which we don't want to bombard you with on the website, to help you, to support you, and to give you as much confidence as possible. This is about empowering you to do all the things that I was doing before, but more effectively than I was doing it, because as I said, there is no substitute for you talking about the amazing opportunity you've got in your incredible companies. That is the most compelling messaging that we can give. What I would ask of you is that you disseminate this, you share the website details far and wide amongst the people who you believe can really, really benefit from receiving it, whether that's your schools, whether that's careers professionals that you know, returners to work, it doesn't matter. Anybody who is interested in a different kind of career opportunity, please share this with them. We who are present here today know that we have an amazing sector that people are completely unfamiliar with. They know nothing about. I knew nothing about scaffolding 5 years ago before I joined the NASC. And in a very, very short space of time, I've become incredibly passionate about the sector and the people within it. But more specifically, the NASC membership, who are the creme de la creme of the sector. This isn't something that I'm saying to be hyperbolic, it's the facts and the reality. And I know, having witnessed it myself firsthand, if we can get more people to recognize and see what I can see, even with my increasingly limited poor vision, then I am absolutely confident that we're not just going to be attracting a new generation of talent into our sector, but we're going to be attracting the best of that talent. We're going to be attracting people who recognize that we're not just offering jobs within NASC companies, we are offering careers, amazing careers. So please do share the website far and wide. Equally importantly, please give us feedback on how we can improve things. Any things that you think seem to be glaring inaccuracies, really keen to get some more submissions of the type of job roles that need to be included on the job roles page that you saw earlier. And as mentioned earlier, and as included in the chat, the points of contact for myself are, well, they're there in front of you. So I thank you so much for your time. I know how quickly we put all of this together. This invitation only went out a fortnight ago. So, and I know just how incredibly busy we all are. It's a genuine honor and privilege to get to speak to you every time I get to do so. I hope this has been useful. I look forward to your feedback and thank you. I'll see you again soon.